Is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160. Of course, Indiana in the Morning, always presented by First Commonwealth Bank, which gives us the good opportunity to welcome into the studio by phone First Commonwealth President, CEO, Mike Price. Good to have you here with us today. Okay, so let's get into it because I want to talk about Project Thrive and what all that entails with First Commonwealth Bank. It sounds like a pretty exciting opportunity. But first, of course, the closing of the branches. And that's been in the news cycle here this morning. One of the things people think when they hear things like that is, there's trouble at First Commonwealth. That's not the case, is it?
It's not. We're very financially healthy and strong. We have plenty of capital, and we just had a very good quarter. I think what you're seeing is our customers' behavior is really changing, and transactions have moved really more online and to mobile, and this has been accelerated by the circumstances surrounding COVID, which we've been watching these trends for years. And so we continue to invest in digital. We'll make some big investments this year, which I can talk about in a minute. But yes, we're consolidating a number of branches, and the average distance in some of those branches is about 3 miles. So that's where we're at, and we're still bullish on branches, though. I think, Todd, if you look at the number of branches we have, either to assets or deposits, you'll find that we tend to have more than our peers. So we're still bullish. We think it's important for those seminal events in life and for problem solving that customers have access to branches. But about half of them don't use our branches, and so we're investing in our mobile platforms and trying to make those better and better.
You look at trends such as you have over the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 years, and those are really good analytics to help you decide, okay, what is the next move for us? What does it look like for us in a year, 2 years, 5 or 10 years down the road? And these are the sort of adjustments that institutions such as yours make along the way, and don't want to downplay the importance of branches because, as you've said, they are very, very important. And yet, you know that the way the market goes, you have to be reactive, don't you?
We do, and quite frankly, we've seen our teller transactions have been off 10, 15, in some cases 20% a year for the last 5 years. And at the same time, we're growing our deposits and growing our households. So our customers are making a choice. And at the same time, our digital banking adoption and mobile has tripled. 3/4 of our customer base is now pretty heavily reliant on digital. Also, they continue to use our call center. We've really doubled the capacity of that probably in the last 4 years. And, things like mobile wallets have just gone through the roof. P2P, we'll be on our 3rd generation there this summer with Zelle. And we'll be on our 4th generation of mobile and online banking with a platform called Banno. And in the second quarter, we set a record with mobile deposit account openings was triple in the second quarter what it was in the first. So our customers are making choices, and we're trying to be thoughtful about that and staying ahead of the curve.
Mobile choices, online choice banking, they are all a part of our future. Of course, broadband is a big issue here in Pennsylvania and some of our more rural areas. Ohio has that same situation with broadband and the availability of it. First Commonwealth, did you take some things like that, considerations like that, into account as you were deciding that this is the way to move forward?
We did, and in fact, you're absolutely right. I mean, and we're seeing that in about 40% of our people working from home, and a lot of them around communities in Indiana. And it's probably a lot better now than it was even 3 to 4 years ago because broadband has improved in rural Ohio and rural Pennsylvania, but it'll have to continue to improve in the modern work world, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you're actually making a bet that it will. Project Thrive is the name of this whole program that you've instituted. Give me the bare basics on it. What are the bones of it?
Yeah, there's really 4 things. 1 is revenue and growth. 2 is expenses and efficiency. 3 is our margin in our business, which is under a lot of pressure. And 4 is capital. I'll just give you 1 or 2 examples. In growth, we're really doubling down on SBA and government lending. We did that through the Payroll Protection Program and PPP, where quite frankly ourselves and other Indiana banks did very well with PPP and helping our customers. And there'll be another wave of that. And so kind of doubling down on government lending, SBA programs, and now we're probably number 2 in Pittsburgh and also in northern Ohio. So we look at that as an opportunity for growth, and we're emphasizing that. I would say, and really mobile technologies as a catalyst for growth. I mentioned online account opening, P2P, and just millennials and others having access to technologies that they prefer. And there's probably 24 initiatives under those 4 umbrellas of revenue, expenses, margin, and capital. And but that's probably for another day.
When the pandemic hit, First Commonwealth was either the first or the second bank in the state to say, let's step forward with this. This is an opportunity to help people and at the same time maybe solidify something from our end too.
Yeah, we really reached out to all of our consumers and our businesses. Our loan deferral rates were really high in the first quarter. They've since come down, and that's because we made personal contact with our branch customers and our businesses and just gave them the opportunity to defer loan payments for 30, 60, 90 days, and they appreciated that. And that's kind of the role of a community bank. And in fairness, most of our community bank brethren, including the banks in Indiana, did exactly the same thing.
Mike Price with us, the CEO of First Commonwealth, joining us here on Indiana in the Morning, which is presented by First Commonwealth. A couple of things about yesterday's release. Number one, jobs for the branches that will close. Obviously, folks who work there, very, very interested in it. Others as well. It seems like you've made a few extra steps to ease that concern.
Yeah, ideally, we will have no or very little job loss. And we really kind of froze requisitions. We were really on this plan of Project Thrive really by the 2nd or 3rd week in March. And we redeployed some of the branch people as COVID kind of roared through America, and really our transaction volume in branches dropped. We freed up some of our branch people to do things like PPP loans, SBA loans, make calls out to customers and customer outreach. And when we froze those recs, we moved our people throughout our company where they were needed. And so I think that really helped, and I think at the end of the day we'll have very little job loss.
We are going to be hearing, I'm sure, in the next 3 to 6 months more from First Commonwealth about Project Thrive. What are some of the things that we can look forward to later in the year?
I think Jonathan and maybe Dave Reed will be reaching out to you in the next week on another announcement that is really around employment and our employees, and so there'll be a lot that will be sooner rather than later.
One of the other things about the announcement yesterday was we know that First Commonwealth Bank has really been aggressive. Maybe that's not the word, but progressive in reaching out, seeing when there's an opportunity to acquire other institutions or go in another direction. Is acquisition a closed-up thing now because of these latest moves, or is First Commonwealth still always keeping the eye open for new acquisitions?
We are always keeping the eye open. However, the opportunities for acquisitions have slowed considerably. We think that'll continue probably well through this cycle. And but you have to be on your toes, and anything that comes up, it's very episodic. You have to be amenable to and look at. I mean, I think I've shared with you before, we've probably looked at well over 30 things and opportunities just to do 5. So we're always looking, but that'll be an important part of our future and quite frankly, any bank's future.
Project Thrive, obviously that's a great nameplate for you. What is a lifespan for a project such as this? Is it something that remains open for many years? It's something has a shelf life? How do you see it going?
A great question. It's probably part of our 2021 2022 strategic plan. And we're working on that right now. We look at COVID and the impact it's had on our country, and a lot of different impacts there. And we just think the world has changed. I mean, take everything from contactless payments to social distancing to mask. I think people have preferences for supporting local businesses. I think you'll see digital banking continue to accelerate. I think what you've seen in the last few months is the equivalent of probably 2 or 3 or 4 years of digital banking acceleration. I think people will focus more on health. I think we'll also be working more remotely. So there's a lot there to assimilate and get your arms around in terms of how anyone moves their business forward, whether it's a radio station, a bank, a retailer, a car dealer. So, and we're all reacting, and we just are. But I think the lifespan of this will be really through the middle of next year, and really planning for the next 2 to 3 years ahead.
Just a moment or two left with Mike Price from First Commonwealth Bank. Does the digital aspect of all of this and that entire platform open First Commonwealth Bank up for opportunities beyond its traditional footprint? Is this something that you can reach internationally or at least nationally and really increase the customer base?
Potentially it could, but in fairness, I think our focus is on the communities where we do business. Mm-hmm. And I think that's quintessentially what community banking is about. It's about neighborhoods. It's about, rural markets in PA where people have been very good to us for not years, but decades. It's about Pittsburgh, where we've been doing business for several decades, and investing there, and now some new markets in Ohio. Mostly there we're in major metropolitan markets where they have a pretty good appetite for a commercially oriented community bank. So I think it's investing in our backyards, and that's probably where our focus will remain predominantly. But there could be opportunities around different solutions that could lend itself to a more regional approach. But our focus will be on our backyard and our communities.
Might not be so much a brave new world, but it certainly is a changing one. Mike Price, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
It's great to be with you, and thank you, sincerely.
Have a great day.